Hello, it's Nina Lemtier here, the wellness coach, and I wanted to share with you and talk to you about goal clarity and how you can clarify your goals. It's just such an incredible 3-4 years for me once I realized the magic in the power, kind of realizing the power that you have within you. So, I'm live in my private Facebook group, holisticwellnesswomen.com. And, I'm so excited to share this information with you. So I'm a nutrition lifestyle strategist, and basically I help busy women and mums realize the power that they have just by optimizing their nutrition, and how it really just revolutionizes your mind, your body, your emotions, and it just allows you to live a life that is more purposeful, and you're happier, because I lived for a long time quite lost and not understanding nutrition and my nutritional needs and the effects certain lifestyles do have on your life, essentially. So if you have a dream or a thought blessed into your head, it's there for a reason. Whether it serves you or it doesn't serve you, it is there for a reason. And if you can dream it, you can do it. And the only person that is going to hold you back from it is you. Okay, there's no one else that can stop you from achieving whatever it is you want to achieve. And as Walt Disney, the famous Walt Disney, said, if you can dream it, you can do it. So just to give you a brief overview of who I am, I come from an international business background. I built up an award-winning salon for over 10 years. I absolutely love making women feel good. I love the transformation aesthetically, if you like. And I've kind of moved from an outwardly transformation to more of an inward transformation that has those outwardly effects, if that makes sense. I'm a mother of two girls, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, that keep me extremely busy, as you can imagine. I've been actively fighting my fibroids for over 8 years, and successfully. So I've been able to overcome the symptoms that really used to dominate my life. And to go on, by the grace of God, to have 2 beautiful girls, and reclaim my health and wellness back. And I'm so passionate about sharing that knowledge and sharing, what I've learned with other women that may be struggling with symptoms and, lots of other things associated with having, living with fibroids. I'm now a global business owner. So I've moved from like a brick and mortar business to a virtual business, if you like. And it's just allowed me to be businesswoman and mum. And I'm just so grateful for that, because, my stress levels are lower. I don't have anything against brick and mortar businesses. It's just, when you're kind of worrying about the overheads of the business, it kind of takes the fun out of, your passion in terms of whatever the business is based on. So I'm so fortunate, to be able to have best of both worlds now. And I get to, pick my girls up from school, drop them at school, be at all the school trips, and also build, a business that I'm going to leave as a legacy to them. So I was bullied for the most part of my formative years. And that just meant that I was really suspicious of people, not trusting, I would compare myself in every way, very insecure. My mum was a single mum, and I just grew up very, with really flawed emotions that I didn't, forming relationships was tricky. Everything was tricky. And, being bullied didn't help. And also, having that anxiety and everything that I grew up with, that led me to grow to my biggest, which was a UK size 26. And there's nothing, you know, I believe in, it doesn't matter what size you are, as long as you feel happy and you feel healthy and you can, you know, live your life to the fullest, that's what matters. But I was very unhealthy. My fibroids grew to their largest. One was as big as a football, and there was 2 other ones similar sizes. And it was just awful. And I had really low self-esteem. I had really bad skin. Everything was just bad for me, you know, when I was that big. And it was okay for a particular stage in my life. But then, of course, when I was diagnosed with the fibroids, I had to reevaluate everything. So I was also addicted to junk food for 6 years. And again, it's the emotional part of it more than the physical, I think. It's the, you know, mentally knowing that you're so dependent on certain foods to give you joy, give you happiness, and things like that. So I wanted to kind of talk to you about the power of photos. So photographs are really, and pictures are really powerful in terms of clarifying your goals. And this is because there's always an emotion attached with a particular photo. You know, it kind of takes you back in time. You remember what you were going through. You even remember music that you were listening to. It's really interesting how photos bring that into your remembrance. And you can actually use the power of photos and pictures to serve you. So you can use them to generate a really positive response, and really, really bring so much more excitement and positivity to your daily life. Now, the flip side is we are faced with so many messages on a daily basis, and our brain is actually designed to work against us, in a sense that it's always looking for the negative. And that's because it wants to protect us. You know, it's always looking out for danger, anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. And that's why our brain is kind of gauging for the negative. So when you have that, you have your brain working in that way, it means we almost have to work doubly kind of hard to create the positive in our lives on a daily basis. And we can use pictures to the tune of that. So the words that I kind of associate with my previous life is being very insecure, quite sad, and obviously overweight. And there's always an emotional trigger. When you have any response, when you see any situation, you will always be able to trace it back to a trigger. And a great way to be aware of your triggers is to keep a journal. Keep a journal and write down anything that ticks you over into that situation, you know, that ticks you over into that thought process, that negative thought process, and why you are doing whatever you end up doing, and etc. There's always a trigger. And what happens is you create cycles with that trigger. And the more repetitive these cycles are, the more in need you are to be able to identify the triggers and, you know, reassess things, take a step back and look where you can start to, you know, undo what is being created. So I struggled with repetitive cycles, negative cycles in all areas of my life from a very young age. You know, relationship forming, as I mentioned, how I looked at myself, friendships, my food, relationship with food, etc. And one of my cycles was, for example, feeling really anxious, feeling really scared, anxious, uncomfortable, and I would literally go to fast food. I would go to fast food to make myself feel better. Make myself feel better. Just need to let somebody in because I'm on Zoom. 1 second. Okay. Let me. There we go. So yeah, that was one of my cycles. And basically I would overeat when I felt uncomfortable or stressed. Now, I had to consciously identify the trigger. Okay, I had to identify the trigger, and then I had to break the cycle. I had to break the cycle and create a different response. So rather than eat a whole box of Krispy Kremes, you know, eat a whole 4 portions of McDonald's. I never used to have one. I'd always eat for 4. Rather than do that, I would do something else. Go for a walk, go for a workout, call up a friend and just talk it out. You know, I had to, and of course I had to be vulnerable. You know, when you're doing that, you have to be vulnerable, don't you? So, you know, I had a choice to shed the identity that I had become, and you do too. Every day you have a choice to go with a particular direction or go in another direction. And what I'm going to share with you is highlighting that that choice. So I would encourage you to note this down, write a letter to your future self. Now, go into great detail. Who do you want to be 10 years from now? Who are you? Where do you live? What are you wearing? What country are you in? What perfume are you wearing? What can you feel under your feet? Who are you? You know, literally go into every kind of detail. And this is going to erupt chemicals, positive chemicals. You're going to feel really, really good. And it's going to take you to a really happy place. Now, this is something that has a science behind it. And that's what I want to go into detail today, because I haven't ever kind of covered the science of this. So I'm just going to skip to my slide. So there's something called the synaptic gap. Now, when you choose a positive thought, yeah, it triggers the release of serotonin. Now, it's really, really interesting how it works, but yes, it's a chemical that's released. And the same thing happens when you focus on a positive thought for long enough. So you could even try it now. Think of something that really, really makes you happy, and allow yourself to smile as well physically, because this is important. Allow your, you know, smile and think about it. And what you will realize is you're actually going to feel yourself just feeling airy fairy, almost like goosebumps. This is the chemical serotonin, okay? And it's based on neurotransmitting chemicals. So the serotonin is a neuroconductor, okay? And literally every time you choose a positive thought, it literally carves out a thought path, a chemical thought path in your brain that will remain there. And the beauty of this is that it actually gets easier, and you get good at being happy. You get good at choosing the positive way. You know, you can know the negative. So you identify, okay, this is a negative situation in my life. This is out of control. This does make me feel uncomfortable, but I choose to focus on this thought. I'm going to choose to think about this and focus on this. And as you do that, the serotonin is released. Those chemical paths are being, crafted, and you will chemically be responding in a positive way. And what does this do? What it does is that it will provide solutions. Your brain will actually be able to give you a solution to whatever the problem is. Let's say you're having an argument, with somebody, and it's getting heated. If you're able to calm down, not respond, let that person speak till they're tired. And it's interesting when you do that with people, because they don't expect you to, they expect you to respond. And just think, what is going to be my next move that's going to serve me and diffuse this, and what I'm going to do next. And you will literally feel yourself just having almost air to the situation, like you're taking a walk, but you're not taking a walk. So that's the serotonin. So you're not going with the natural, I'm going to shout back and go crazy. And, you know, I'm going to talk about what happens when you do that. But you're going with the positive thought path, the problem solution driven thought process, and you're linking with those neuroconductors. So this is science here, okay? It's not hocus pocus, it is science. And as you're connecting these brain cells through creating the positive thought paths, as you establish that, it just gets easier and easier. And it's funny now, because this is how when I used to meet really happy people, I used to think, gosh, why are they so happy? And it was a bit irritating, because I thought, I wish I could be that happy. And these people are literally able to, because they're literally leveraging off thought path after thought path, and they've literally just got all these positive thought paths in their brains, and it's just easy for them to just see the positive in every situation. Like, have you ever met someone that always seems to see the positive, and you're thinking, oh, really? You know, and they just seem to just not see it the way you see it. This is because they have created so many of those thought paths. It's just so easy for them to be positive, because the chemicals are working on their favor. So this is all science, you know. Now, when you choose a negative thought path, so you've got this negative situation and you choose to dwell in it, you are literally now thinking about, from that negative situation to that negative, and then you're starting to think about you and how awful you are, and you're having a meltdown now. When this happens, what's happening is you're literally having cortisol. It's flooding your system, and what it's doing, it's breaking the positive connections. It's breaking them, okay? That's what's happening. And what the response of that is, have you ever been so angry where you almost just see red? Like, you don't even, if you think back to the situation, you just think, what just happened? That's the cortisol literally breaking every connection, every positive connection, and you can't even see a way out. All you can see is red, and you want to rip their head off, or, you know, whatever the intense situation is. So that's the cortisol, and it's there because it's released during flight or fight mode. So let's say you were to get into a fight, hopefully you don't, or you know, but let's say you have to run really fast. Maybe you have to get away, okay? Cortisol comes into your system to protect you so that you don't feel, if you are hit, for example, or if you're harmed, you don't feel it. Have you ever heard stories where people have been stabbed and they always say they never realized that they were stabbed until they were in the hospital and they're being told that you were stabbed? So this is because of cortisol. Cortisol stops you from being able to feel pain, essentially. Yeah. So it literally breaks all the positive connections. You're not able to problem solve, and everything can be just like a blur, literally. You don't want to go down that route if you can avoid it. You only want to be in that situation when it is actually fight or flight. You are really trying to protect your life. That's when you need cortisol. But other than that, you don't want to be inviting cortisol to be released into your brain. Now, when you're choosing negative thoughts, unfortunately, you are not only affecting your mental ability to be able to see a way out of the situation, but physically, your body will struggle with cortisol because your organs don't like it. You know, it's not meant to just be in your system. It's meant to come in and leave for a purpose. So you will find that you're having mental blocks. You're just not seeing a way out of the situation. and it feels really hard. That's cortisol. That's the effect of cortisol. So what you want to be doing is commanding your subconscious every day. You will command it using words. Yeah, so affirmations. As you say affirmations, you are commanding your subconscious through words. And then you're going to visualize through pictures, okay? The power of pictures and the emotions attached to the pictures. When you do this, you're working with the positive chemical serotonin. And the more you do this, the more excited you are, the happier you are, because you're creating all these positive thought paths. Okay. I was speaking to a client recently, and she was just saying she just can't see a way through, and she just doesn't understand why it just feels so hard. And I said to her, it feels hard because you're telling yourself it's hard every day. You are telling yourself it's hard. That's why it's just feeling harder and harder. So you have to do it, even if it doesn't feel, you don't feel like saying the affirmations, you don't feel like visualizing, but just do it. Trust the process. Do it for 30 days. And if you don't feel any different, then don't do it. But if you commit to doing it, there's no way those chemicals won't take over and affect your positivity, your outlook on life, and essentially your happiness. So you are creating self-actualization when you're doing both of that, when you are affirming with words and when you're visualizing with pictures. And this will, it will change your life. It really will, you know, and I've never gone into this detail, but I just thought it was important to highlight the chemical reactions that are happening when you are, you know, when you're choosing to think of certain things. So set a goal. If you need some guidance to create, you can create a map. I have a goal map that I use, and I read it every night before I go to bed. I read it every morning. I get halfway through and it's like someone's giving me a shot of something, and I just get so excited. I jump out of bed. And honestly, it really is life-changing. I have it as a screensaver on my laptop. I have it on my phone, screensaver, literally everywhere and everywhere. And it really, really impacts you. And as I said, it's the serotonin, it's all those chemicals. And now I'm such a good problem solver. And I can't believe I just said that because I used to say other stuff, which I'm not going to say. But honestly, I even sit down and think how much I've changed as a person because of the science behind choosing positive thought paths and choosing to set your subconscious, reset what the world is trying to set. Every day we're being given messages, we're being given information. There's a war in Ukraine. There's the pandemic, there's this virus, there's another virus. You need to have this vaccine. You need to, every day we're being bombarded with messages, okay? So what you have to do is you have to protect your world, your existence, and reset what you've been told. That's how you need to look at your map and your affirmations. You're resetting, you're pressing reset every night, and you are setting your intentions for the day every morning. If you want to create a map, if you don't have a map and you want to create one, just comment below, drop me a message and I'll send you a link. It's free. And if you want help with doing it, just let me know and I can help you out. But honestly, I just thought I would go and do this because I have people often ask me, you know, how I stay so inspired, motivated on a daily basis. I am quite consistent. Actually, I'm very consistent in my planning and what I do to work towards my goals. And I've got 2 kids and people say like, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I just say, I've got a map. I've got a goal map and I work it. I work it every day. Like my life depends on it because my life does depend on it. My happiness depends on it. If I don't do it, I'm literally allowing the world to really influence me. And of course it will, because we all got to live in the world. But there's a difference when you are allowing things to really influence your emotions and it's affecting your stress levels. You know, when that's happening, then it's just too much. You have to be able to say no, enough is enough. I decide what direction my life is going in and how I can control me. I can't control that situation. I can't control the government. I can't control this, but I can control what I think about and what I choose to feed my subconscious and ultimately your future, isn't it? Ultimately, because what we feel and what we say today is what we are professing into the future. So if there's anything that's happening repetitively in your life, you need to look at the language you're using. What are you actually saying about that situation? What are you saying? Because what you're saying is what it will be. Okay, what you're saying is what it will be. So thank you so much for joining me. I've kept it short and stayed on the points I wanted to focus on. Hi, Angela. I'm in 2 places at the moment. But yeah, thanks for joining. And there is, I have recorded this, so I will get it to anyone that wants to see the replay. Have a fabulous night and take care. See you.